Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce Cinematics video session 212. Guys, a few of you have been reaching out to me. Maybe you have been reaching out to me through the comment section or maybe via personal chat, and you wanted me to start SAQL. So finally, I'm here. There are two concepts which all of you wanted me to start, the SAQL and bindings. No doubt, these are the advanced topics of Salesforce CRMA, and these are something which definitely, if one knows it, it becomes eventually a good journey in the Salesforce CRM. I'm also excited to start. So finally, this topic will be about SAQL itself. It will be an introduction video about SAQL. Well, I'm not quite sure how I can follow step-by-step process because no doubt there are so many things to learn in SQL, and definitely it can become overwhelming experience for me also to know, how in a certain structure I can help all of you to actually learn and understand the concepts related to SQL. But still, I will try in whatever manner possible. I will try to help you out to understand SQL the way I have actually learned it. Not quite sure how this journey will begin on this path of helping you to learn SQL. Uh, we also have, many things on the AI, and AI, with the help of AI also you can actually learn a bit faster. But from a learning point of view, just to ensure you are pretty much hands-on with the basics of it, I will follow a teaching method where which I have personally followed, and which has helped me to grasp the basics of it for sure. Okay, not quite sure if that way, if I teach you, if you also need to follow that. Maybe there's a different method which you can follow, but you can still have patience and you can just bear with me, tolerate with me, in case you feel the way I will be teaching SQL may not be relatable to you. Okay, that's the thing. But again, the purpose is to ensure that you learn it. Of course, we need to take the help of AI, to ensure the code gets structured appropriately. We need to use it. However, at the same time, you can also just learn it from your end, just to ensure as humans also you can write code effectively. It's actually mostly a coding part in Salesforce CMatics. Till now, if you have seen, mostly it has been a point and click structure. But yeah, when it comes to SQL, it's more of a coding kind of a thing. Okay, a lot of things can be done, and yeah, let's see. Let's begin this journey. I was a bit hesitant, but again, since it started, let's begin and let's see how much enjoyable, or you never know how much boring it can be. But let's start. Not an issue. Now, before going into SQL, before mentioning what is SQL and all those things, let's straight away let me tell you what is the one reference document which all of you needs to have in handy. Okay, so in Google you will just search SQL, like I already had searched it earlier, SQL Developer Guide. Okay, that's what you're going to search in Google, and uh, you will actually see there will be one PDF file. Okay, so what I want you to do is you just click on this one, Analytics SQL Developer Guide, which will be in PDF format, and just download it. You will always download the latest version. As of now, the period when I'm shooting this video, Winter 26 is the latest PDF. In my case, I already had one downloaded where it's the previous version. However, what I can do is I can also download this one. Okay, so I will also download this. So here is it. So here is this PDF which all of people who are working in Salesforce CIMatics, or if you are particularly want to work on this SAQL, you need to have it. That is the Analytics SAQL Developer Guide. Okay, so definitely download this. Many of my teachings will be based on this document as well. Of course, there will be many things extra as well, which I'll be going walk through. I will be sharing my experience, whatever work I have done in projects, I will be sharing that as well. But definitely from basic point of view, this is one document all of you need to have in handy. Okay, you can always go through it, read it, but keep it as a reference. I'm not saying that you have to follow this. You can also watch my video and learn it, because I will be covering almost everything on SQL. So, firstly, just click on this, download this file. I also didn't download this download compressed. It is saying hi. That's fine. Let me download the PDF. Okay. So now, if you see, it's showing me one because I already have this downloaded earlier, but it's the, I think it's the summer version maybe. So I will download the latest version as well. So let me download it. Now it got downloaded for me. So that's the thing. So this is one thing which you definitely download. Now, as the release gets upgraded, because Salesforce actually has three releases, right? So some things or the other gets upgraded, but that's fine. Not much changes are there as I've seen till now. But again, always the best practice is to have the latest winter release SAQL developer guide with you. That is for sure. Okay, not an issue. Now, after having this downloaded, now comes like what is SAQL. Okay, so let me first of all show you any kind of lens which we have, or let me open any kind of data set. For example, I open this data set recipe account. Okay, now if you see, till now we have been doing through point and click, or we can also, like in my a few other previous videos, I have explained about the conversation queries where you can just write in a non-technical language, and the cinematics data set or the engine which is working in the backend takes care of how things needs to be popped up. Now, this whole thing which we are doing as a point and click, there's a particular code which works in the backend. For example, in this recipe one, you see this is the total count of rows. Okay. And here, if I just bring something like industry, we're seeing the count of industry, then you can actually put the limits from here. Let's say it's 2000. I don't know, you can put something like 10 also over here, right? It will show you the 10 industry. Then, you can put a filter over here, let's say. Okay. So you can put any filter. Let's say I put something related to industry, maybe. Okay. And I select a few of them. Okay. So this is the way it works out, right? Now, this whole point and click which we are doing, there's a particular code which runs in the backend. Fine. That code which runs in the backend is nothing but SAQL. Fine. So let's say again, if I open this particular data set once again, now here it's just showing the count of rows, right? Now, if you just click on this query mode, so how you go to that SAQL part, that is through the query mode, fine. And that language is actually built in. It's already built in this application of Salesforce CMatics. You don't need to download any external software to run this code. It's already inbuilt and it's there where you have to run it. Okay. So once you click on this query mode, you have this whole code which you can see. Fine. People who are comfortable with SQL, structured query language, they can also switch to it. Okay, as you can see, some differences in behavior and limitation exist, which is fine. You can learn more. But as of now, let's stick to SQL. We will come to SQL part later. Okay. Now this complete code which you see, so basically it was just the count of rows, right? For the count of rows, the kind of code which is working in the back end, that code is something which we refer as SAQL. Okay. Similarly, let's say if I open one more time the same data set, and let's say I go for sum of annual revenue. Okay, I'm just going for sum of annual revenue. Again, if I click over here, you see, again, it's a code which is there. It's a bit different compared to this one, right? So that is something which you see over here. Now, if you see, there are 4 lines of codes, right? Here also it is 4 lines of code. Now, again, once again, if I open this particular data set, and once again, let's say I go for something related to bars, let's say this industry, okay? And again, if I just go to this SAQ query mode, so this is known as the query mode, by the way. I actually say it SAQL mode also, but it's the same thing, okay? Not an issue. Now here, if you see, there are 5 lines of code generated, okay? One extra compared to here. So like you have this order by, of course, I could have also disabled the order by, so not an issue. So let me do one thing. Let me undo this. And here, let's say I just cancel this order by, okay? So let's say clear the sort. Then of course, again, you should have 4 lines of codes, okay? Which you see over here, okay? Then again, if I, let's say, put certain extra filter condition, you will see one extra line of code getting added. So for example, again, if I, let's say, go for industry, fine. And again, if I apply certain filters on the industry level, let's say industry equal to, let's say I select, like I select one of the values only, okay? Let's say this one. So again, if you see, there will be a code which will be working in the backend. Fine. So this is about that SAQL. Okay, here also I did that same thing. I will clear out the sort as of now. I don't need the sort. Now this is the whole thing about SAQL. And similarly, if you go for any kind of sorting, Like if you go for increasing order, decreasing order, again some extra code will get added. So here, for example, right now, if I go for a bit of sorting, let's say I go for industry, okay, and now what I will do is I will clear the sorting from here, okay, but what I will do is maybe for the count of rows, I will go for descending sort, and maybe what I can do is here in the filter, and let's say this time I select a few more values other than one value, okay. So that this is something you have done by point and click, and here if you click on the query mode, you see this code being generated in the backend. Fine. Now, the thing is that what is SAQL? What is the full form of SAQL? This is SAQL. This is the code. In one word, if I say it's the code which is running in the backend for whatever point and click functionality you are doing on the data set. Okay, that is something I can say. It once it is. Is it only limited to this definition? Certainly not. There is much more things which can be done. Okay, but as a basic way, we can define in this manner as well, just to start off with. But definitely, you can leverage SAQL for many other practical applications. So that's the thing. So now what I will do is I will open my notepad and I will quickly write the full form of SAQL. Fine. So you will see me saying SAQL a lot of times. Now what is SAQL? So basically it's known as Salesforce Analytics Query Language. Okay. So that is the full form of SAQL, Salesforce Analytics Query Language. So basically, the word query, what does this word query means? To fetch, right? So basically, to fetch certain things, to fetch certain outputs in this case, to fetch certain visualization in the data set, we go for this SAQL. In Lens also you can say, right? So that's the meaning of SAQL. It's the code which is running in the backend for the kind of visualization which you see in the UI or in the front end. Okay. So that's the meaning of that point SAQL. Now, there are a few things which you can definitely learn. For example, if I click on this SQL developer guide once again, so you will have, so there was this PDF which you downloaded. Also, you will have this overview, I guess. Let me just first of all open. Uh, yeah. For example, this overview. Now you can always go to this quick start. Okay. So you can go to this quick start or not quick start. Okay, so you can start off with this SQL reference, for example. Okay, so for example, I go for this SQL basic elements, right? So statements, right? And a SQL query loads input data, operates on it, and outputs the desired result. Now, these are some things which you can also walk through, which I will be also walking through. I'll be explaining. This is also necessary. But as of now, just understand for this video, which is just an introduction, like what is this SAQL all about? So first thing, of course, it's a Salesforce Analytics query language. It's nothing but the code which is running in the backend for any kind of operation which you are doing on the front end. So the first step, if you see, it's always going to load that data set. Okay, so it's basically generating. This is the first compulsory steps all the time. The next step is the grouping by. In case you're adding filter, then definitely this takes a back seat. Then you will have the filter condition. For example, over here, if you see the filter condition came as the second line. But otherwise, you have the group by. Okay, if you don't have anything to group by, just write simply group by all. But if you select something, so for example, if you select something under the bars, if I'm talking about the bar chart, if you select something under the bars, it specifically denotes that particular field in the group by section. So for example, in this case, it will show me as group Q by industry, okay, which I think is done in this section, okay, group by industry. If nothing is done, then it will show you group by all. Then that for each comes into picture where you it helps us to generate the result. So that complete result which you see that gets generated when you go for this for each statement. Okay. So the generation part is something which is taken care by the for each. And after that, that limit is because the limit basically shows you the number of rows you're going to pull in the data. In this case, I'm just showing the count of rows, but let's say in certain cases where you are grouping by certain fields, and if the number of rows are longer, it basically helps you to. We will continue on the section. It's just the beginning. Don't want to put too much pressure on this particular SQL, but this is the basic overview. Keep in mind and definitely download that part. So yeah, that's it about this. We will continue from here, and yeah, let's see how this journey goes about. Thank you.